Welcome to the Black-Liberation.Tech podcast, brought to you by Jordan Nuance LLC and hosted by Dr. Renée Jordan. This podcast is a accumulation of Dr. Jordan's dissertation work and her passion for empowering Latinas, Afro-Latinas, Black women, and girls to navigate the academic and professional worlds with confidence and success. Whether you're a mother or guardian guiding a child through grades 6 through 12, an undergrad or grad student, someone working on a dissertation or thesis, or simply looking to carve out your niche in the career landscape, this podcast is for you. Each episode, Dr. Jordan shares her story, offers invaluable advice, and provides practical coaching to help you thrive in school, work, and beyond. Join our community on patreon.com/Black-Liberation.Tech and become a member for as low as $5 per month. As a member, you'll gain exclusive access to live recordings, impromptu academic and career coaching, and a network of like-minded individuals committed to mutual support and success. You're also welcome to follow Black-Liberation.Tech on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Visit Black-Liberation.Tech for even more information on Dr. Jordan's adventure in Inglés o Español. Tune in, get inspired, and let's embark on this journey together. Welcome to Black-Liberation.Tech, where your success story begins. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Black-Liberation.Tech podcast. I am your host, Dr. Renée Jordan, and today we're going to take a look at a blog post from April 2021. This was after I successfully defended my prospectus, and so I was getting ready to move forward with my dissertation project. And so the title of this blog post is called Progress, Every Which Way But Back. And so let's give it a read. I'm making progress in multiple directions, but most importantly, I'm not moving backwards. Here is a list of what I have going on all at once. IRB application, review and submit, consent form grade level readability down from 12.6 to 9.5. The optimal grade is 8th and my goal was 10th, so I'll take it. Media release forms in progress. Qualtrics survey. This survey includes the electronic consent form, media release form, and demographic questionnaire for consenting participants to complete. Right now, I have a draft as a Word document. In the survey, I provide a space for participants to self-identify as well as options to check off the 2020 census descriptions for race/ethnicity. Those who do not want to participate will have the opportunity to provide feedback on their decision by email. Study website. I need to add my examples of digital content that I use and create. Keeping up with work, cooking, and cleaning. I do not want to lose my job, starve, or have filth overtake me in this dissertation process. Exercise, yoga, and rowing machine. Check and check. So in this blog post, I was taking a look at the things that I had going on, whether it was with the dissertation specifically related to the IRB process or the website that I was using as my digital flyer, if you will, as well as life in general. So what does progress look like? Is it always linear? Wherever you are in your academic and professional journey, I want you to consider, what does progress look like? It isn't always linear, and that's okay. Balancing multiple priorities. So with this blog post, and at that time, I was balancing priorities between research tasks, everyday responsibilities, and self-care. With my research task, I had to get IRB approval to proceed with my project. In my case, I created a project that I wanted to complete, and therefore I needed to submit it to the IRB for approval. In some cases, people may choose to work with their advisor on a project they already have going on and use a subset of data or collect their own data within that project in order to complete their dissertation. Whichever way you decide, make sure that you have IRB approval before you start your project. Another thing that I definitely recommend would be to go to IRB workshops before you have to create your own proposal so that you know what the process looks like like ahead of time, and you'll have time to ask questions and get answers. I attended at least 2 IRB workshops before I needed to do my own IRB proposal. I also was fortunate enough to serve as a graduate research assistant with my advisor, and so I had access to those IRB proposals to take a look at in terms of figuring out what went where and what I would need to include in my own proposal. At the time of my project, the COVID pandemic was still in effect. And so there were limitations as it related to in-person activities. One of the things that I decided to do was to go ahead and do my project virtually. So that meant my interviews were virtual, my recruitment was virtual, and I also provided a virtual space in the form of a Google folder for participants to upload their examples of their digital products so that I could take a look at them and they could do so at their own time. All of this had to be included in my IRB proposal, as well as screenshots of my website so that someone would know what participants are expected to consider or have access to during my project. I found this to be very helpful because that way people had a place to go to see examples, to learn more about the project, and even watch example videos of my own digital artifacts. I was very surprised to see that one of my participants actually elected to do the virtual upload of digital artifacts and provide short explanations on a Google slide in order to share her data with me, as opposed to doing an interview. And I was very grateful that she decided to engage that way. And as a result of that, I was able to have a total of 9 participants in my study. 8 of them completed interviews, while one of them elected to only upload digital artifacts. Some of those who did complete interviews also shared with me digital artifacts and examples for me to include in my data. As far as everyday responsibilities are concerned, you want to make sure that you're not leaving those things out that you must do for yourself, whether it's work, meals, and maintaining a clean space. You need to consider what has to get done. Put it on a calendar or a list if necessary to make sure that you're not leaving anything out while you're under an intense project such as a dissertation. So I did try a meal prep service where everything came prepared. I just needed to cut it up, follow the instructions, and cook. However, because I ran into a few snafus, I did not continue with it. But I did appreciate the 2-week break from having to figure out what's for dinner. Creating a routine can help you with those everyday tasks that have to be done. So yes, you have work to do, whether you work from home or you go into the office, but what else can your schedule include to make sure that you're not leaving anything out? Even contacting your loved ones. For me, on Sundays, I reach out to my nieces to make sure that I maintain a relationship with them. And how do I reach out to them? By text. I ask them how they're doing, as well as ask them about any adventures that they had that week, as well as share the adventures I had, so that by the time I graduated or whenever I had a chance to visit them in person, I would not be starting from scratch talking about, oh, I remember when you were 5 years old. But I could pick up with right where they are, right then and there, ask them how things are going, as well as what they're looking forward to. Self-care is important. Now, along with working on work in my dissertation, I also worked on being able to take care of myself by exercise. That took the form of yoga, and at the time, I had a virtual yoga class where I could get feedback from my instructor while we did yoga together. Movement is important. You do not want to become sedentary by sitting in front of the computer all day, every day, writing. You need to move. It helps your mental processes as well. Be mindful of yourself while you are under tight timelines or having to handle multiple projects or multiple things at once. And that might mean setting time aside to meditate, to pray, if you do pray, as well as just be still and have a moment of reflection. Now, while you're making progress, it's important to consider your wins versus your expectations. For example, the readability goal of my consent form. So my goal was to get to a 10th grade reading level. It was previously at something that was a little over 12th grade, so 12.6. And so I was able to get it down to 9.5. And in that case, I could say that I exceeded my goal. And so I was glad that I did. Now, the optimum readability for projects that include adults as participants would be an 8th grade reading level. However, since my participants would be those who are in tech-saturated industries, I expected for them to at least have a high school diploma and possibly a bachelor's. However, I also understood that with a lower readability score, that meant that the consent form would be clear to more people. So instead of holding on to that 12th grade reading level, I was able to bring it down so that it would be clear to more people as opposed to something being missed as a result of the language that I chose to use in the consent form. Now, something else to consider when we're talking about making progress is adjusting expectations versus reality and knowing when to say, I'll take it. Not settle, but recognize, hey, this is good enough. And as a result, I'm moving forward. If I wanted to be a perfectionist, I could have kept tweaking and tweaking until it was 10.0 on the dot. But in reality, 9.5 was good enough. And so that's what I went with. So think about it. What are some things that might not be perfect, but they're good enough to move forward? Take it. Figure out if you are just being picky or if you have achieved something that's close enough that you're able to move forward. I want to challenge you and say that if it's close enough, sometimes it's just best to move forward instead of harping on things being perfect, because in reality, nothing is perfect. When we're talking about making progress, it's important to be flexible, being open to moving forward in different directions rather than fixating on a rigid linear path can be a way to move forward. Now, when I say moving in different directions, that means making progress in different areas at the same time. While I was working on my IRB proposal, I was also working on the website that would serve as my digital flyer. As I added more information to the website, I needed to add more detail to my IRB proposal. I was able to work on them both. That way, they essentially fed off of each other. I didn't have to wait to get one done before doing the other. I was able to work on both of them. And what really works for me is working on the thing that comes easiest to me at the moment. Sometimes I don't feel like working on a website. Sometimes I can just do things that are systematic, check boxes, tick, tick, tick. Did I do this, this, and that? I knew I needed to make a survey. I had an idea of what I needed to include in that survey. I had other points of reference so that I knew that I wasn't making it from scratch when it came to collecting demographic data. So going to the US Census and seeing what that demographic information included and then including it in my survey allowed me to move forward. That was something that was simply procedural. It didn't take a whole lot of thought, but it still needed to be done. Now, with the site, I had places for images and examples. However, whatever I could get my hands on first, that's the order in which I did it. And because I spelled things out so well in my proposal, it had an order to it in terms of, oh, these are the things that I need to have done, but I did not have to do them in terms of step 1, step 2, steps 3, step 4. I just needed to get it all done so that I could submit my IRB proposal. They would have screenshots and examples of what the participants would see, and then they could visit the website if they wanted to in order to see it for themselves. So here are a few questions that I want to ask you to help you determine what progress looks like for you. How do you measure progress in your personal or professional life? What are some unexpected ways you've moved forward even when things didn't go as planned? What's one small win you can acknowledge today, even if it wasn't part of your original plan? Thank you for tuning in to the Black-Liberation.Tech podcast, brought to you by Jordan Nuance LLC and hosted by Dr. Renée Jordan. We hope today's episode has has inspired you and provided valuable insights to help you navigate your academic and professional journey with confidence and success. Remember to like, subscribe, and share, as well as rate and review the podcast to help it become more discoverable. Whether you're guiding a child through grades 6 through 12, tackling undergraduate or graduate studies, working on a dissertation or thesis, or exploring your career options, this podcast is here to support you every step of the way. Join our community on patreon.com/Black-Liberation.Tech and become a member for as low as $5 per month. As a member, you'll enjoy exclusive access to live recordings, impromptu academic and career coaching, and a network of like-minded individuals committed to mutual support and success. Don't forget to follow Black-Liberation.Tech on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Visit Black-Liberation.Tech for even more information on Dr. Jordan's adventures, available in both English and Spanish. Stay inspired, stay empowered, and keep moving forward. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.